Have you ever kind of looked at the path you're on, the one everyone says you should be on, and just thought, is this really it? Well, today we're going to dive into the story of someone who had that exact feeling. A doctor who questioned everything and found his answers in three very specific books that completely changed his life. I mean, this is the question, right? It's the model we're all sold from day one. You work your tail off for 40 years, climb the corporate ladder, save up, and then, maybe, when you're 65, you finally get to enjoy yourself. But what if that entire idea is just wrong? So this is where Ali Abdaal comes in. At the time, he was a junior doctor at Cambridge University. I mean, talk about the perfect conventional path. But on the inside, he knew there had to be something more. His story is just this incredible case study in how you can build a totally different kind of life, even while you're working a super demanding traditional job. Okay, so let's set the scene a little bit. As a medical student and a new doctor, Ali was basically living two lives. On one hand, he was killing it in this prestigious career. But on the other hand, he was secretly building a company, exploring this whole world of entrepreneurship, and the gap between those two worlds just kept getting bigger and bigger. And that brings us to his first big roadblock, the classic trap of trading your time for money. As a doctor, your income is directly tied to how many hours you put in. It's a great living for sure, but it doesn't offer a whole lot of freedom. He knew he needed a totally new way of thinking, and that's when he found a book that just blew the doors off everything. And that book was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I mean, just look at that subtitle, Escape the 9-to-5, Live Anywhere and Join the New Rich. This was so much more than a business book. It was a manifesto for completely redesigning your life from the ground up. And this right here is the core idea. The book completely redefines what it means to be rich. The old way, that's about hoarding money for a retirement that's decades away. But the new rich, as Ferriss calls them, they're all about creating freedom of time and location right now. Instead of one big retirement at the end of your life, why not sprinkle many retirements all throughout it? So the key thing here is that this wasn't just some fantasy for Ali. He took these ideas and put them into action. He started building automated income streams, things like online courses that made money even while he was studying for exams. He learned to outsource tasks, to use all these clever productivity tricks, and he was literally running a business from his laptop while in med school. And the results? Well, that number 6 you see, that's for 6 figures. His company was soon making 6 figures in revenue every single year. This proved it wasn't just some little side hustle. It was a legitimate business built on an entirely new set of rules, and it was his ticket out of that time for money trap. But, building the business, that was only half the battle. This led to his next major challenge, and this one was completely in his head. He had all of this cool stuff he was learning, all these things he was building, but the thought of actually putting himself out there, starting a blog or a YouTube channel, it was absolutely terrifying. And the book that helped him get over that fear was a small but incredibly powerful one called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. This one wasn't about business strategy at all. It was about a fundamental shift in mindset. I think we can all relate to this quote from Ali, right? That little voice in your head that says, who are you to share your opinion? People are going to think you're so arrogant. That fear of judgment, that fear of what people will think, it can be paralyzing. And this was the light bulb moment from the book. What if sharing what you do isn't about ego at all? What if it's actually an act of service? The book reframes the whole thing. You're not bragging, you're simply documenting your journey. And by doing that, you're helping people who are just a few steps behind you. It's an act of generosity. And you can see the ripple effect right here. In 2016, right after reading the book, he starts a blog. It's a small step, but that gives him the confidence to, a year later, launch his YouTube channel. And now, well, he's gotten thousands of messages from people telling him how his content helped them. It's proof that what he was once afraid to share has genuinely changed lives. So, okay, he built a system for freedom. He found the courage to share his work. But then a new problem popped up, and this one was a little sneakier. It was the constant, never-ending pressure to grow. In the online world, the only direction you're supposed to go is up. More views, more subscribers, more revenue, and it can absolutely lead to burnout. The answer to this problem came from a third book, Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. And this book teaches a really counterintuitive idea about business and life, that it should be about making you happy and helping people, not just about chasing endless growth. And boy, did this question become real for Ali. After years of his revenue charts going up and to the right, they suddenly flattened out. They even dipped a little. And in a world that's obsessed with constant growth, that felt like an absolute disaster. He actually talked about lying awake at night just filled with guilt. That joy he used to feel was gone, replaced by this nagging feeling that he wasn't doing enough. Anytime he tried to relax, his brain would just scream at him that he was failing, that he'd screwed up his life. And then he rediscovered this quote from Derek Sivers, and it was like an anchor in a storm. It just cuts through all the noise of analytics and spreadsheets and gets back to what really matters. The questions are so simple, but they're so profound. It gave him permission to stop chasing more and to realize that what he already had was enough. So, after going on this whole journey through 3 very different books, what's the big takeaway for us? It's not just a cool story. It's actually a blueprint we can think about for our own lives. It really comes down to these 3 steps. First, you architect your freedom. Use the ideas from the 4-hour workweek to build systems so your life isn't just about work. Second, you share your process. Reframe it as an act of service, just like Show Your Work teaches. And finally, you have to define your own success. Use the wisdom from anything you want to figure out what enough looks like for you and focus on happiness and impact, not just numbers on a screen. And so that really leaves us with one last big question for you. Looking at these 3 ideas, which one do you need most right now? Is it about building systems to get more freedom? Is it about finding the courage to finally share your work with the world? Or is it maybe about giving yourself permission to decide what enough is and finally finding some peace? Which one of these is calling out to you?